Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still playing out this short-term warning signal as the price once again perfectly rejected from this critical level of resistance, while Grayscale is still dumping a lot of Bitcoin. And on top of that, Ethereum is still currently flashing this new warning signal in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more in just a moment, so definitely stick around. First of all, we need to talk about the Bitcoin ETF news today because over the last one day, BlackRock actually bought another approximately 2,900 Bitcoin, nearly 3,000 Bitcoin, worth around $150 million US. And so right now, as we can see here on BlackRock's own website, they are currently holding around 122,643 Bitcoin, worth approximately $6.3 billion US. And so obviously, when it comes to the price of Bitcoin, this is good news for the Bitcoin price, with BlackRock buying more and more Bitcoin. But what we are also seeing is, of course, Grayscale still dumping their Bitcoin. And just today, we have seen Grayscale dump another approximately 4,800 Bitcoin. And out of that, over 3,000 Bitcoin was sent over to Coinbase to dump on the market. And so basically, Grayscale has just sent approximately $250 million worth of Bitcoin out of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And so as of right now, we're still actually seeing a decent amount of outflows coming out of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, causing selling pressure from Grayscale once again. And in case you're wondering how much Bitcoin Grayscale is still holding, they're still holding well over 450,000 Bitcoin, worth well over $23 billion US. So they're still holding a significant amount of Bitcoin. But if we're taking a look at all of the numbers from just yesterday, we can see that overall from BitMEX research, we have a total net inflow still coming into the spot Bitcoin ETFs just yesterday. But with that being said, even though it was still a net inflow, which means more was coming in than what was leaving, of course, compared to some of the numbers we saw last week, this is not as strong as what we saw last week. Because if you're watching my videos just last week, you will know that on some of the days, we were seeing net inflows at around 4, 5, or even $600 million US coming into Bitcoin each weekday. Whereas just yesterday, once again, we only saw around a $135 million net inflow, which is still good. It's still a net inflow. But with that being said, once again, it's not as strong as what we saw last week. And so perhaps this is a pretty significant reason as to why we've seen some weakness in the short term in the price of Bitcoin, rather than that extreme bullish price action that we saw over the last couple of weeks. Because once again, as of recent, we're not seeing as much inflows coming into the Bitcoin ETFs compared to previously. But obviously, as this continues to change, I'll keep you up to date basically every day here on the channel. So make sure you subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos, because these Bitcoin ETFs can indeed have a big impact on the price of Bitcoin. But anyway, getting into the Bitcoin charts today, looking at the weekly time frame, and right now we're still trading above the golden pocket, which is good news here on the weekly time frame. And once again, the golden pocket is sitting in between around 48,000 to 50,000. And so, like I've said recently, of course, that should now act as new support in case we end up seeing a bit of a short-term pullback. Once again, I'll now expect support around 48 to 50K. And obviously, in terms of the much larger trend here on the weekly time frame, we're still clearly trending in the bullish direction, forming significant higher lows and higher highs, despite what's happening on smaller time frames. And so, as always, it is important to understand the difference between the different time frames. For example, on a smaller time frame in the short term, we could be looking slightly more bearish, but when you zoom out to a much larger time frame, that is still occurring within this much larger bullish trend, also known as a bull market. But if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin chart, as I've said over and over again over the last 1 week or so, of course, this extreme volatile move has already played out as expected, and I no longer expect that extreme volatility going straight to the upside anymore. And so just keep that in mind. We're basically finished that extreme volatile move to the upside, but that does not necessarily mean the bullish trend is finished. For example, if we're taking a look at what we saw in January 2023 or around October, November 2023, we saw these extreme volatile moves in the price of Bitcoin basically straight to the upside over the course of around 1 to 2 weeks. And then those volatile moves stopped. And then we saw either a sideways consolidation or possibly a slight pullback before actually continuing higher later on in the larger bullish trend. And so that's basically what I'm expecting right now in the short term. Once again, we've basically finished that extreme volatile move to the upside, which means we could now be expecting either a sideways consolidation or possibly a slight pullback before potentially continuing the larger bullish trend later on. And if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, once again, as I've been saying almost every day over the last 1 week or so, we are currently losing bullish momentum here in the daily Bitcoin MACD. And so once again, as I've been saying over the last half a week to 1 week now, of course, I would not be expecting a significant amount of bullish price action, at least in the short term, and we're likely going to see either a sideways consolidation made up of choppy sideways price action, if not a slight pullback, before potentially continuing higher later on. And also right now, while the price is consolidating sideways and playing out a slight short-term pullback, this is helping to reset the RSI out of those overbought territories and back down towards more neutral levels. And so this can actually give us some more room to the upside later on, considering the RSI, if it's back down towards more neutral levels, means of course we have more room to the upside before we get back to overbought levels. And this is something similar to what we saw back here. Of course, we saw that quick volatile move to the upside and then a bit of a sideways consolidation, basically a slowdown from all of that extreme bullish price action, which helped to reset the RSI, giving us more room to the upside later on. And so once again, in terms of the larger trend, I'm still very much bullish. It's just in the much shorter term here during the bullish trend, we're taking a bit of a short-term pause or setback from that bullish trend. And that's also been due to the fact that this bearish divergence I've been talking about since all the way back here on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart is still currently playing out. And as always, a bearish divergence most commonly plays out in the form of either choppy sideways price action, if not a slight pullback, as the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence, which is pretty much exactly what we are currently seeing. And basically, for as long as the RSI on this 4-hour time frame is still trending to the downside, forming lower highs and lower lows, technically this bearish divergence is still active unless we see a reversal in the RSI by forming higher lows or higher highs, or if we see a breakout above these highs right here in the price, that can also invalidate this previous bearish divergence. But as of right now, of course, the price is still rejecting from this key level of resistance, which is sitting at approximately 52,500 here on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart. And so technically speaking, because we have not yet broken out back above that level, this break to the downside and this bearish price target is still currently in play. And this bearish price target for this triangle pattern breaking to the downside is sitting at approximately 48.9K. And obviously, as of right now, the price of Bitcoin has moved roughly halfway between the point of the breakout and the price target. But right now, we are running into a bit of short-term support based on this previous low, which if we're looking at the candle wick low, is sitting at around 50.6 to 50.7K, or if we're looking at the candle closes, is sitting closer towards 51K, once again acting as support. And if we see a break back below around 50,500, then in that case, we could find some support right here at previous resistance, sitting at around $50,000, pretty much exactly at $50,000. And below that, then once again, I'd expect a move down towards this price target at around 48.9K. But it's always worth keeping in mind those other levels of support, because obviously at those other levels of support, those are also levels where we could potentially bounce from. And if you want to take these trades in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take trades just like this over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And also right now, there's an exclusive Apple Watch Series 9 giveaway happening over at Bitflex. If you use the link down below this video, it'll take you to this page right here. And if you want to enter this giveaway to potentially win a brand new Apple Watch Series 9, all you need to do is sign up to Bitflex using the link down below this video, deposit $100 worth of crypto or more, and to make just one trade on the derivatives market over at Bitflex to enter this giveaway. And so if you're trading crypto anyway, or if you're preparing to take the next trade, you might as well get set up or ready to go on one of those exchanges using those links down below this video if you want to get those extra bonuses or enter that giveaway. But anyway, right now for Bitcoin, that's the situation in the short term. Once again, we're looking slightly bearish in the short term as the price is losing bullish momentum on the daily time frame and playing out this short-term bearish divergence and also rejecting from key resistance. But ultimately, when you zoom out to much larger time frames, this is just a short short-term pause or short-term setback within a much larger bullish trend. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we still have this area of liquidity sitting in between around 50.2k going up towards around 50.6k. But if we see a break below around $50,000 approximately, then in that case, the next level of liquidity to the downside is sitting at around 48.2k. And in case you're new to this channel, these areas of liquidity in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map usually act as magnets for the price of Bitcoin, basically attracting the price of Bitcoin towards where there's most liquidity. And just recently, a few days ago, we saw exactly that, but to the upside, with a quick spike to the upside up towards around 53,000. But now that the price has already taken out a lot of that upside liquidity, once again, it now leaves a lot of liquidity to the downside, basically attracting the price of Bitcoin a little bit lower just in the short term here. But anyway, getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this is on the weekly time frame, and just like Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, we're still trending in a larger bullish trend on the weekly time frame, once again sitting above the golden pocket. And in case you're wondering, this golden pocket is still sitting in between around 25.30 going up towards around 2.7k. And just like the golden pocket on the weekly Bitcoin chart, I also expect this golden pocket for Ethereum to act as support in case we see a further short-term pullback. And so once again, as I said earlier, it's important to understand the difference between the different timeframes. So despite what's happening on the smaller timeframes, like the 8-hour chart, for example, of course, here on the larger timeframes, like the weekly timeframe, we're still very much trending in the bullish direction. But if we're taking a look at the daily timeframe, as I've been saying over the last few days, we're currently losing a bit of bullish momentum here in the daily Ethereum MACD, but not as much momentum has been lost for Ethereum as what we've seen for Bitcoin. And so once again, we're still more bullish than bearish. We have not confirmed a bearish trend reversal or any significant bearish momentum because, as I've said recently, we have not confirmed any bearish cross here in the daily Ethereum MACD. But with that being said, the momentum is no longer growing, and instead we're losing some bullish momentum. So just keep that in mind. This bullish price action is starting to slow down, at least in the short term, compared to what we were previously seeing over the last 1 to 2 weeks. But of course, this is healthy to see a bit of a break from all of that crazy bullish price action, because that does help to reset the RSI back down towards more neutral levels, which can give us more room to the upside later on. And so once again, as I've been saying this entire time, I'm still very bullish on the larger trend at play. It's just in the immediate short term, we could see a bit of a break from that bullish trend. And if we're taking a look at the 8-hour time frame, as I've been saying recently on the channel, we do actually have a short-term bearish divergence here on the 8-hour time frame, with higher highs already confirmed in the price in the 8-hour candle closes and lower highs confirmed here in the 8-hour Ethereum RSI. And obviously, since my last video, we did actually see a fresh new higher high put in place in the 8-hour candle closes. But with that being said, the RSI is still forming lower highs despite the price putting in a new higher high. And so once again, this means we still have a bearish divergence flashing here on the 8-hour time frame, which means we should not really be expecting a significant amount of bullish momentum, at least in the imminent short term, because these bearish divergences usually play out in the form of either choppy sideways price action, if not a slight pullback, as the most likely outcomes and the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence. And once again, as the RSI continues trending lower, if we're still forming lower highs and lower lows in the RSI, of course, this could technically mean we still have some weakness, at least in the short term, for the price of ETH. And even if we make a fresh new higher high in the price, keep in mind that the RSI could still be forming lower highs, in which case we could just be extending this bearish divergence to make it even bigger. And so once again, in terms of the trend and the price structure, we're still technically bullish. We have not yet broken this bullish trend, but once again, just in the short term here, we are technically due to see a bit of a break or pause from that bullish trend before potentially continuing the bullish trend higher later on. And as for these important support levels, these have not changed over the last 1 day. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know more about these support levels, then check out my last video here on the channel. And if we're taking a quick look at the price of Solana on the 8-hour time frame over the last 1 day, and in fact just recently, we've now seen an 8-hour candle close back below around $105, which technically now confirms this break to the downside for this head and shoulders pattern. But with that being said, this 8-hour candle close is only sitting just below $105. And so we only have a small amount of confirmation for this break to the downside. So keep that in mind. We don't have a lot of confirmation, but technically it is now confirmed. And basically, the more confirmation we see, the better. So for example, the more candle closes below $105, the more confirmation we have. Or for example, if we see a retest and a rejection from $105, that is extra confirmation. And basically, the more confirmation that we have, the more confident that we can really be in this break to the downside, actually heading down towards this bearish price target, which is sitting at around $94 approximately. And also keep in mind that between now and this price target, we have some other levels of support to pay attention to. For example, this previous high right here could act as new support, which is sitting at around $101.30 approximately. And below that, we also have this previous 50% retracement level acting as support, sitting at roughly around $99. And personally, I have actually entered a very small short position to trade this move to the downside. But once again, it's only a small trade at the moment because we've only seen a small amount of confirmation. And basically, if we end up seeing more confirmation, for example, a successful retest and a rejection, then in that case, I'd potentially add to that short position. But as always, that is not personal financial advice. I'm just letting you know my personal trading strategy when it comes to these trades just here. And once again, if you want to take trades just like that, check out those links down below this video. And if you want to know how you can actually take these trades, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can open and close long positions or short positions to make money if the price is bullish or bearish. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.